on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk. And just as equally, I love the Emerald City. Seattle, fantastic. 11:50 a.m. KKNW at night. It is the Matt McNeil Show for your Monday. Good to be back here after a bit of a weekend-long weekend. Matt, Patrick here. A good one for you today. The Lieutenant Governor of the state of Minnesota is going to join us. Peggy Flanagan. She is running for Tina Smith's open Senate seat. Tina Smith, the senator, has decided she's not going to run again for another term. So Peggy Flanagan has announced she is running. She is going to join us. The Lieutenant Governor is going to join us here in a little bit of a half an hour or so. Patrick, how are we today?
Doing all right. Did you have a nice weekend?
Chicago is amazing. How much time have you been down in Chicago?
Last time was at the beginning of the year, and it is a great looking city.
Oh, it's just amazing. And first of all, I want a big shout out to the fine folks at WCPT. I was down there. I got to do, if you heard, I did Patty's show with her on Thursday night. So I'm going from South Loop. I got to go out Milwaukee out to WCPT and do this. And I say to myself, and I understand, I knew it was going to be bad. I left an hour early. It took me an hour and 20 minutes to get out there. And yeah, I was late for the show. Yeah. Frustrating, but it was great to be out there, and it was good to talk to everybody. We had a lot of guests and a lot of listeners, so it was good fun. We had the guy who was shopping at the Aldi at the time we called, which, you know, hey, you got to get, you know, Turkmenistan mayonnaise. Who doesn't love it? But all right, so the real thing everyone's worried about. Okay, let me run through the list of food. Of course, as soon as Patty and I were done on Thursday night, right down to Superdog. She got the Polish sausage. Oh my God, was that good? Oh my God, was that good? Oh, loved it. Had that. Then good breakfast in town. There's a little patisserie down the street from the hotel I was staying at, and yeah, fantastic there. Went out, did the art museum. Basically, spent the entire day at the art museum, and I still missed about a third of it. That is, the Chicago Museum of Art is truly one of the greatest art museums I've ever been in. I can't say enough about it. I mean, I can't say enough about it. I mean, it is amazing to go into that place. I mean, I'm going to say some words. I think that museum is better than the Smithsonian National Gallery of Art. I do. Now, and I'm not saying that the Smithsonian's bad by any means. No, it's great. But the stunning depth of the art that is unbelievable. I have been there now twice recently. I was there a long time ago. Love it. Just love it. Got down to Second City on Friday night. There's a guy there that was on the show that we were on. How in the heck that guy is not running Saturday Night Live? I don't know. He is so funny. I did the architectural boat tour on the river on Saturday, which, and shout out to the tour guide, Andrew, who it is amazing to get a tour from somebody who not only is incredibly knowledgeable about the subject, but clearly loves the subject as well. And I was able to, I just had a great time with that. I went on to Chicago. We hiked around a little bit after that. I went to a Chicago. It wasn't a gangster tour. It was a crime tour. And the reason why, and this is kind of the tough part of, especially if you have to take people out in a bus in a city as busy as Chicago to try to take them around, it is really hard to kind of get around in any kind of consistent time. And so even though we did go see where Dillinger was gunned down outside that movie theater, we went and saw the site of the St. Valentine's Day massacre. We also had to kind of get, there was a point where we talked about the Tylenol scare that happened, which once again, still have not found out who did that. Although it's interesting. We stopped by the Crack McDonald's. Have you ever heard about this place, Patrick? The Crack McDonald's in Chicago. He knows. You do know. He's smiling. Okay, I did not know about this. And I'm like, okay, this is too good. Apparently, back, was it in the 80s or 90s, that if you went to this McDonald's and you asked for a Happy Meal but the prize only, but the toy only, you actually got, they were selling crack out of the drive-thru. And apparently some police officer came through. They forgot his toy, the kid's toy, in his kid's Happy Meal. So he came back through and said, I just need the toy from the Happy Meal. And then they tried to give him a whole bunch of crack. Needless to say, shenanigans ensued. And that was the case. Now, McDonald's, once again, I think they tore it down and rebuilt the entire McDonald's. And it is, I think, the second busiest McDonald's on the planet right now. That was, entertaining. We stopped by Harry Carey's place because a mobster actually used to live there. And when Harry Carey bought it and they started remodeling it for his steakhouse, they knocked out a wall and they actually found a bunch of secret stuff back there. So that was kind of entertaining. So did that. I went out. I took a ride on the Ferris wheel over on Navy Pier at night. Good fun there. Had a good time. It was Chicago is magnificent. Now, let me say this about Chicago, because there was one thing that was going on. I mean, on the Thursday night, we noticed on Michigan Avenue, particularly, there was a bit of a larger police presence, and then there was a ton of people in cars driving up fairly aggressively up and down Michigan Avenue. On Friday night, it was on Michigan Avenue. They were driving with the Mexican flags and stuff. And this is kind of a big, middle finger to Trump. This is the people of Chicago saying, try to invade our city sort of mentality. It does not help that the Department of Homeland Security said an officer shot Silvero Villegas Gonzalez, 38, during a traffic stop in Franklin Park outside of Chicago. And that obviously heightens some tensions, to say the least. Chicago is brilliant. And these threats by Trump. Now, I will say this. I think that I went there. I thought it was the worst military takeover of a city I've ever seen. I didn't see anybody. I mean, I was expecting my rights to be violated everywhere I went. Nothing. Come on, Donnie T. He's actually focusing his sights on Memphis. And the reason I think he's doing that is because of Tennessee's insanely far-right, crazy MAGA government, that they're not going to get the pushback that they would get in Illinois. And the last thing I think the Trump administration wants to do is have a state court throw the federal government out of a major city and then have to appeal that to the Supreme Court. And the reason why I say that is I don't think that Supreme Court wants anything to do with this. I don't think that Supreme Court wants to set a precedent that a president can basically say, yep, they can declare a national emergency at any point and inject the military, because they know that goes both ways. And I can make an argument, you really want to start up crime? Well, the illegal gun sales from rural America into the inner cities, as well as the meth traffic in rural America, that's actually, when you look at it, the ratios, it's worse in rural America than that stuff is in the cities. Cities are just much more people, and it looks like it's worse, but the reality is the ratios are much worse in rural America. I don't think Trump wants to go down that path, because I think the Supreme Court might have already signaled, we're not going to sign off on you sending troops into American cities to start shooting at locals. So I think that Trump is kind of backing away. But I also think that there is an attitude of Chicago. There is a mentality of Chicago, which let me explain it this way. Chicago is the third child of America. New York would be the first child. Now, if you basically have, children, if you know about people that do have children, the first child generally is the golden child. Now, I'm painting with a wide brush. It's not necessarily the truth, but it is generally the golden child. It is the first child of any couple. It's, the one that they're always kind of hailing and stuff like that. That's kind of how that character is. Although generally sometimes that is delusional, and it kind of hides any problems, because this is just it's the first child, and it's kind of there. New York City is America's first child. It is, at times it is this beacon of light that we put out there. But the reality is that it's not perfect, but because it is that first and the largest city in this country, and that first major city in this country, that's how we kind of look at it. And, New York is the first child. Los Angeles is clearly the second child, where even though they have a lot that's going for them and a lot that's individual and very different from New York, there is constantly this comparison that, we're different and better. And I know that Los Angeles will, we don't. Oh yeah, you guys do. Oh yeah, it's so much better here than New York. It's so much better than in New York. You guys mentioned New York a lot in Los Angeles. And I want to say this. I think Los Angeles is fine. I've been out there multiple times. It's a lovely city, and it's definitely got its own vibe, which is always kind of funny because kind of like that second child that there's a lot of, sometimes there's a case where the second child is great on a lot of other different things, but they're always comparing themselves to the first child. Chicago is the third child. Chicago doesn't give a flying F what anyone thinks. They come on out and they see the first child, and then they see the second child, and they created identity for themselves that really just does not care. They just do not care. And that is Chicago. It does not care what you think about Chicago. You can sit there and badmouth it all day long. They don't care. You want to go there? Great. You don't? Okay, fine. We don't care. You want to love us? Great. You don't? We don't care. That is Chicago. It is its own unique individual personality, which is truly amazing. And when you go there, there is this stunned nature about how beautiful it is, how unique it is, how the character of the city really is. And it all exists because they just don't care what the rest of the country thinks of them. They're not trying to be New York. They're not trying to be Los Angeles. They are 100% comfortable and happy being Chicago. And that scares the living daylights out of MAGA and Trump. I love Chicago. I love that city. I had lots of good food. I'll tell you, when I come back from the break, I'll take some time and I'll run through the list of food really quick. Plus, I got to talk a little bit about the ag markets when I do come on back because, oh my gosh, there's another horrific stat that I got to put forward. It is the Matt McNeil Show.
Get ready for the music event of the season. Powderhorn Porch Fest returns Saturday, September 20th, 4 to 10 p.m. for another legendary evening of 13 epic performances across 3 uniquely Powderhorn Porch stages featuring genres from hip-hop, R&B, surf punk, Latin folk, and more. Powderhorn Porch Fest spans 2 blocks on 17th Avenue South between 32nd and 34th Street. KRSM will be spinning beats with the diverse sounds of the South Side all night long. Treat yourself to Minneapolis' favorite food trucks, then grab a refreshing cold drink at the Beer Garden. The festival's family-friendly by day with activities for kids and an unforgettable celebration for adults after dark. Best of all, Powderhorn Porch Fest is free to attend with proceeds supporting the community programs of Powderhorn Park Neighborhood Association. Don't miss out on this one-of-a-kind music and community celebration. Powderhorn Porch Fest, September 20th, 4 to 10 p.m. Details at ppna.org/porchfest.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The easy all-in-one plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus many extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
It's no secret that medical care costs are soaring, with nursing home and skilled nursing care costs being some of the highest. You don't have to deplete your savings in order to receive long-term care. At Schroman Law, we work with families to develop and implement strategic planning for medical assistance for long-term care, for assisted living, nursing home care, or home-based care. Contact us today to schedule a free consultation at schromanlaw.com. That's SCHROMEN law.com.
The place for live music is the Park Tavern. Live music takes over the Park Tavern's dog-friendly patio. Head over on Tuesday, September 16th, it's Colby Straka. Wednesday, September 17th, it's Meat Raffle Ska. And on Thursday, September 18th, it's the Gut Buckets. Music runs from 5:30 to 8 p.m. and reservations for groups of 8 or more are recommended. And the Park Tavern offers private and semi-private spaces for small and large groups on Louisiana Avenue north of Highway 7 in St. Louis Park. Outdoor live music is on at the Park Tavern.
The Brave New Workshop is a Minneapolis tradition and the nation's longest-running comedy theater, finding ways to make people laugh about things that should make them cry for over 65 years. And who doesn't need a good laugh right now? Seriously, who doesn't need a laugh? Come see their fall show, Hippocalypse Now, a hilarious look at a world where what people say and what people do are completely unrelated. Playing now through November 1st at the Dudley Riggs Theater in Minneapolis. Tickets available at hennepinarts.org. That's hennepinarts.org.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. Patrick, you just informed me, apparently something breaking on the news. Apparently we've gone after another Venezuelan boat. Is that something is that how I understand it?
Yes, Donald Trump himself announced another strike against an alleged drug vote from Venezuela.
Which we don't have any evidence they were outside of, yeah. All right. Once again, Epstein, pedophile in chief, Epstein. Yikes. 952-946-6205. So I had, and I told Patrick this, and we're kind of doing that Warner Brothers Bugs Bunny I'm dreaming of food kind of reaction to some of the food that I had in Chicago. I had what was called a Dubai tart, a Dubai chocolate tart. It was a buttery crust with a crunchy pistachio cream inside and a dark chocolate glaze. That was my breakfast one morning. Oh my. Superdog, of course. I'm not passing up Superdog when I get down there. Giordano's, we did that. I didn't do this. My brother and sister-in-law, who are also down in Chicago the same weekend, they did 3 nights of deep dish pizza. Now, I mean, I'm hardcore, but dear Lord, I've got kids, man. They said Giordano's. One of them said Giordano's was the best. They Lou Molinari's. Is that the one guy?
Lou Malnati's.
Malnati's. Thank you, Lou Malnati's. The other one said his was best, all deep dish. So now I've got to try that out. I went down to the Billy Goat. Have you ever been down to the Billy Goat?
I've not.
Oh, in case you're not aware, the Billy Goat's there used to be a lot of places like this in America where, like in parking ramps and in infrastructure, there are just these open spaces. And so people started, one of the most common ones was bars. People would just say, I'm going to wheel a keg in there. And as soon as, and these used to be in the parking ramps, people would get off work and they'd go in and they'd be able to get a drink and, some peanuts, and then they'd head home. That was kind of the way things were. Billy Goat's kind of like that. I think it's on Lower Wacker. It's down below Michigan Avenue. And you go down there. This is the place that of course, if you ever watch the classic, all-time classic, original bit, cheeseburger, Pepsi, chips, that's this place. And even as we were there, they're looking and saying, yeah, we there was someone in line in front of us saying, oh, we don't have fries. You have chips. So I got the chips. I had a burger there. That was a really good burger. I got a great picture, too, of the guy that cooked it. I'm going to share that picture. That dude was awesome. Great smile. As a matter of fact, just an iconic Chicago picture. The griddle he is cooking on, I guarantee you could put a shoe on there and it'd taste delicious. It is that good. I had a lot of good fun down there. Lots of photos to post. I'll post those over the next week. Okay. Speaking of food, as we've talked about extensively, we've got a really big freaking problem in this country. And I saw this as I drove down across Minnesota and Wisconsin and into Illinois. And you can see that it's harvest season on a lot of crops, including soybeans. And they don't have anyone to sell soybeans to right now because our largest buyer of soybeans, China, is basically saying we don't want any soybeans. this is a pretty big problem. At this point, I think they should have had 10 million metric tons of soybeans ordered, and they have 0. And there's actually no sign that they're going to order any soon, because they're getting all their soybeans now from Uruguay and Argentina and Brazil and New Zealand and Australia. They're now basically getting them the crops they need, and they're avoiding the United States. And this is, I think, one of the reasons why Trump is frantically now trying to negotiate with China, but China holds all the cards on this one. An ag economist at Ohio State says the ag trade deficit reached its peak in July and is spurring concerns about the future of U.S. ag exports. Ian Sheldon says ongoing trade tensions with China are impacting the bottom line for producers. Pretty much the same thing we've been talking about. That's putting quite a bit of downward pressure on soybean prices. It's partially a price change, but mostly because China is using soybeans as a bargaining chip on its ongoing discussions with the United States. They hold all the cards. Here's the stat that I just want you to kind of absorb this, because, oh my God, the USDA, this is Trump's USDA, has reduced its estimates for Chinese demand by 500 million for fiscal year 25 and by 9.5 billion for fiscal year 26. That's Trump's own USDA with their estimates of lower demand from China. No matter what, China is not going to come back the way it used to. And if you're the Chinese, wait till all you have to do is wait for the soybean markets to collapse, and then you can buy them dirt cheap. And that seems to be, if they even do buy them, they can bankrupt out a good chunk of the American farm sector by just not even buying them. Self-induced mess. The economists tell brownfield farmers need access to new markets, but many of those countries are countries where the U.S. has imposed quite prohibitive reciprocal tariffs. What the United States is doing in trade policy has the potential to have knockoff effect, disrupt our export markets depending on how these countries respond. And most of those countries already have producers and suppliers of soybeans. So even if you didn't have these nasty tariffs in place, well, guess what? There still is no need for them to take our product. This is a mess. This is an absolute mess. And you are going to see the soybean farmers wiped out. What are you going to go to that island with the penguins, see if they need soybeans? I don't think that's a good idea. The Secretary of Agriculture, she's chimed in, Brooke Rollins, she says the Trump administration is working on a financial bridge for America's farmers who are facing low commodity prices. I know it's one of the toughest, if not toughest, farm economies now that we've ever seen, at least in my lifetime. Rollins said the administration is working around the clock to address some of the issues pressuring the farm economy. Understanding the trade and president's trade renegotiations have put us in time of uncertainty. This is her even admitting this mess has been caused by Trump. Rollins told Brownfield News the team of USDA is exploring options very soon. Will probably okay. I want just this. You want to have a nothing burger. Here's your nothing burger. Very soon, so not now, we'll probably, we might not, be rolling out some new programs and building that bridge between President's promised vision of open markets, better access, and the golden age of prosperity for our farmers and ranchers, she says. They're already tempering their promises and their expectations. The Chinese hold all the cards at this point. Trump is apparently today that they're saying they've negotiated some sort of agreement on TikTok. One of the things I found was interesting is the demand has been that TikTok have been under U.S. control, but that doesn't seem to be anything that's mentioned, like there's a buyer or something like this. I wonder if the Trump administration is caving to the Chinese at this point and realizing, well, we're really not going to have much option with this TikTok thing. So they're kind of trying to get this off the table because soybeans is going to hurt us. Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan joins us when we do return. It's the Matt McNeil Show.
Weeknights at 7 on AM 950. KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Hi, I'm Peter Solak.
And I'm Adam Ostrowski.
We are here at Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces to talk about the joy of live fire cooking. Cooking over a live fire is the oldest and most basic form of cooking.
What's new is in the way fire is handled and its heat is managed.
It's easier to experience and enjoy the smell and taste of food cooked over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces sells and installs live fire grills, fire pits, and ovens. Let us help you experience the smell, the taste, the fun of cooking with fire.
Pizza was first made and is still best made in an open fire oven. The radiant and conductive heat of a live fire is unmatched for wood roasting and baking artisan breads too.
Come see the many ways you can cook over a live fire.
Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces has over 35 working wood and gas units on display at the corner of East Franklin and Riverside Avenue in Minneapolis. More information at woodlandstoves.com. Find the fire that works for you. Woodland Stoves and Fireplaces, out of the ordinary products and services since 1977.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
Hi, this is Frank Brown of Minuteman Press Uptown with a question for our listeners. How important are business values to you? When you need high-quality digital print, it matters who you work with. You see, Minuteman Uptown is unique. We're one of the only union print shops in Minnesota providing our team with living wages and benefits. We believe in second chances for justice-impacted individuals who want to contribute to the community, and we are active in local issues. We've been in the streets standing up for racial, social, and economic justice. At Minuteman Uptown, our mission is to connect all communities through technology-driven print solutions. An example of that mission is when I moved Minuteman Uptown to North Minneapolis. We're invested in this local community, and we help small businesses and local organizations throughout the Twin Cities reach their audiences. Reach out to Minuteman Uptown and partner with a printer that shares your values. Call us today at 612-870-0777 or visit us at mpuptown.com. That's mpuptown.com.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, showers possible with a high of 86, then tonight clear with a low of 69. Maverick's Real Roast Beef serves up the best roast beef sandwiches in town, but don't miss their other great offerings like chicken, fish, Philly steak, and more. Maverick's is located on Lexington Avenue in Roseville, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Check them out at mavericksbeef.com. You're listening to AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
Broadcasting in the evenings on WCPT 820 Chicago's Progressive Talk, in the nighttime hours, 11:50 a.m. KKNW in Seattle, and at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota in Minneapolis, St. Paul. It is the Matt McNeil Show here for your Monday. Good to be back and nice to be back. And thank you very much to the fine folks who filled in for me while I was gone there for that little excursion down to Chicago. We are hoping to be joined here by the Lieutenant Governor of the state of Minnesota, Peggy Flanagan. Hopefully momentarily here, of course, in case you're not aware, Lieutenant Governor Flanagan announced that she is running for the Senate seat. Tina Smith's Senate seat. Tina Smith, of course, has announced that she is not going to run for another term, and so basically, we're looking for a new senator here in Minnesota, and the lieutenant governor has stepped up and is hopefully going to be joining us here fairly soon to talk a little bit about that. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I actually, and one of the things which I find to be interesting is the first time I actually talked to the lieutenant governor back was when she was a Minnesota House rep, and she contacted us and contacted me about doing an interview. And actually, the reason I remember this is because I was out, we were on a family vacation, and I had called like the day before, and I just said, I want to try to get her on the air. And she actually called me back because she actually wanted to, she knew the show and she wanted to come on the air at that point and join us. And so here I was walking around at that point, Rapid City, South Dakota, and because the kids wanted to go see Rushmore and the Badlands and all that stuff, and so we went out there, and it was ended up being it ended up being a lovely trip, but it was also nice because, like I said, I was walking through the town talking to her about that. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I will mention too that it does sound like, once again, that the Trump administration has gone out there and blown up another boat in Venezuela. I'm not sure exactly. I'm sure we're going to hear about this. Just everything is right now about deflecting away from Epstein, and he's throwing everything at in the kitchen sink at the wall to hopefully get anything out there. Do we have them there at this point? Not yet. All right. Hopefully, Lieutenant Governor will join us momentarily on that. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. I will mention, and as going back and mention, I was talking about in regards to being in Chicago and the response that the population of Chicago was having towards Trump. Trump has fallen, and I guess it's not a surprise. I mean, he tricked a lot of voters who generally trust and vote Democrat into voting for him under lies. I mean, we talked extensively about the Generation Z guys. We've talked extensively about the Muslim population of Michigan and how they went out there and trusted him, and that basically Trump never had any intention to help them out. Of course, the Hispanic and Latino community as well endorsed Trump and basically helped him out as much as possible. Apparently, Trump's numbers with those communities has cavitated greatly. And I'll tell you what, I'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second, because the Lieutenant Governor is now joining us right now. Peggy Flanagan is kind enough to join us today to talk about her Senate campaign. Lieutenant Governor, thank you very much. I really appreciate the time.
Thanks so much for having me, Matt. Appreciate it.
My pleasure. And I first of all, I want to ask you, just going through the motions here. Tina Smith announces she's not going to run for another term. Your process at that point, where did you talk about the decision you made to run for Senate? Did we lose her? Or did we break it up there? Okay, we might be having a little bit of a technical difficulty with the Lieutenant Governor at this point. Hopefully,
I'm so sorry, Matt. Can you hear me?
Yeah, there we are. Hello.
Right.
Talk a little bit about your process in regards to how you decided I'm going to run for Senate.
Sure. Well, first of all, I think Tina Smith has been an incredible United States Senator. We have all benefited tremendously from her leadership. And frankly, I like the path of Lieutenant Governor to Senator. I think that sounds pretty good to me. But I would say this. Ultimately, I made the decision because I'm someone who grew up feeling like the bottom could fall out at any moment. And there are way too many people who feel that way right now, and not enough people in Washington, D.C. who understand what that feels like. Because frankly, if we had enough people who understood what that felt like, we wouldn't have passed this big, ugly bill. It is absolutely time that more working families in Minnesota have representation and a fighter. And I think I fit that bill.
We have currently, and once again, the Senate is an interesting dichotomy. You have to kind of be on the ground running. And that's not saying that the House members aren't the same way, but it's very different for the Senate. I mean, this is supposed to be the thoughtful, mature body. Unfortunately, lately, they've basically handed all their power off to Trump, and they are doing things that are really hurting people. You have to kind of stay up to date on what is going on as we approach even the election, because you have to hit the ground running when you get into that office, correct?
That's absolutely right. And, one of the ways that you do that is by spending time all across the state of Minnesota. We've been holding what we're calling kitchen table conversations. They're a little less town hall and a little more community meeting, where we're hearing directly from Minnesotans about, what they are concerned about, what they're worried about, who they're fighting for, and then what they're hopeful for. And the things that we have heard Clearly Minnesotans care about this big, ugly bill and the cuts to SNAP or to nutrition programs for folks. This is going to impact people all across the state of Minnesota. We've also heard that people are worried about cuts to Medicaid. And, as a kid, I'm someone who grew up using SNAP to keep food on the table, right? I was that kid with the different colored lunch ticket. And, Medicaid was my healthcare. Medical assistance as a kid with asthma growing up, there were some times when I was in the hospital more than I was out in elementary school. And so Minnesotans understand what that means, not just to people who are on Medicaid, but it's also to the surrounding communities, and the impact there. We've been in Canby, Minnesota, and southwestern Minnesota. We were in East Grand Forks having one of these conversations. And what people said is that there's one nursing home in town. And what that means is that closes. The folks who live there, who get their care there, many of them have nowhere else to go. But it's not just about those individuals. It is also about the folks who provide that care, the local businesses who provide the goods and services that for that nursing home and for that facility. And, for those doctors or health professionals who may just go away, right? This impacts the entire community, the local economy, and ultimately Minnesota's economy. And so in order to hit the ground running, once I get to the United States Senate, I think people should have an understanding that the way that I'm campaigning right now is the way that I'm going to govern, making sure that we're hearing directly from Minnesotans all across the state of Minnesota so that when I get there, I can accurately represent their concerns and fight for them.
And one of the things I was talking about this in the last segment about the ag sector, which is currently under major attack because of these stupid tariffs. The soybean farmers are looking at a catastrophic situation right now, not only here for Minnesota, but once again, you get in that Senate, you're speaking for America out there, and we're looking at, hundreds of thousands of soybean farmers on the verge of bankruptcy because Trump has made China so mad they don't want any of our product here. Talk a little bit about that, because when you talk about that financial impact, especially in rural America, nothing is going to wipe out these towns faster than having a third of the farmers shut down.
That's absolutely right. Right. So China hasn't purchased our soybeans since May, right? Soybean farmers in Minnesota, but across the country are devastated, right? That market is now going to Brazil. That's not just about this one moment in time. If that market changes and shifts, that is catastrophic for a generation. And so what I also want to see is that Congress isn't just completely throwing up their hands and saying there's nothing we can do. It is the role of Congress to make sure that they are involved in tariffs and setting these tariffs. Right now, the Trump administration, frankly, has given the biggest middle finger to farmers. And it's not just with these tariffs, it's also with on again, off again grants from USAID or USDA. I'm hearing from farmers from across the state who've made incredible investments in their own farms. And that promise in Minnesota, like a handshake and a promise means something. The Trump administration has not followed through in many instances on those dollars getting to folks that they were guaranteed to. In Minnesota, the farming economy, right, is the backbone of our state. And it is, it's unconscionable to me that we are just, we're watching folks in Congress just say, not our problem, and hide from their constituents because frankly, I think they're probably ashamed of what they've been doing here.
You talked about Lieutenant Governor of the state of Minnesota, Peggy Flanagan, joining us. PeggyFlanagan.com, that's her webpage. She's running for Senate. Tina Smith has decided she's not running again. You talked about having to be trained on as you campaign here, because you have to be able to address issues as soon as when you win that seat, you're on the ground and you're going. Let's talk about two other things. One, I was in Chicago this last weekend. Trump is threatening to send troops into major cities across this country. On top of that, we have another government shutdown, which is tragically becoming the norm because we have a political party in the Republicans that don't want anything but their way entirely. And these both are, once again, bad policies, which not only could be, in the case of the government shutdown, crippling to our economy, but as well crippling to our psyche as a country if all of a sudden we start having troops occupying major U.S. cities.
Well, so the first part, I would say this. It is incredibly expensive to send the National Guard into a community. I would rather Donald Trump just listen to folks if he cares about public safety and invest in actual public safety, in law enforcement, and frankly, Kristi Noem not rolling back violence prevention grants and terrorism prevention grants, taking those away from Minnesota. Get serious, right? And we were able to, as a Walz-Flanagan administration, invest $300 million in public safety, meeting communities and saying locally, what is it that you need? Do you need to hire more law enforcement? Do you need an unmarked vehicle where you can transport victims and survivors of domestic violence so that they don't feel like criminals, right, to an appropriate shelter or to the police station? These are the things that we heard. And so we made those investments. I would ask Donald Trump, if you're interested in investing in public safety, then be a good partner with us and not a foil, and actually invest in the things that make communities safe, not just sending in the National Guard.
The other side of that, of course, obviously, is we have again another situation where we're going to have a government shutdown lurking because we don't have people that are out there making the right budget decisions and a comprehensive budget that's going to work, as opposed to just trying to do quick fixes and hope that it does that's best. And it's weird. This is another thing that is really causing this economy in our country to trail behind.
That's right. And, you can't govern, right, like month to month. I think it's very clear to me that right now, Democrats in Congress need to use their power and need to use their leverage, which is to say, we are not going to vote for this bill unless you, right, restore some of these cuts to Medicaid, restore some of these cuts to SNAP, and get really serious about the subsidies through the Affordable Care Act. This is the moment, I think, and I think the American people and I think Minnesotans right now are very clear about using the power that they have. Democrats in Congress, Democrats in the Senate should use their leverage to say, these are our expectations. These are the things our constituents expect us to fight for, and we're going to do it because this is the power that they have.
Lieutenant Governor, I can't tell you how happy I am you're running for this office. I mean, that's just me personally. I'm glad you are. PeggyFlanagan.com. PeggyFlanagan.com. Obviously, make a donation, volunteer, help out her campaign. You can find out more information about her political stances there as well. I really appreciate it. You're an incredibly busy person, so I really appreciate the time today. Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Matt. I appreciate you. Take good care.
Take care. Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan running for the U.S. Senate seat, currently held by Tina Smith, who is not running for another term. We'll take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Monday.
I don't love you anymore.
This year, the adventure is calling louder than ever before. Craft your own magic at the Wicked Wand Workshop. Race for glory at the Ninja Warrior Challenge. Or battle for honor at the Viking Invasion. Plus, enjoy classic favorites like live armored combat jousting or slay your hunger with tasty turkey legs. The Minnesota Renaissance Festival is back with new adventures. Get your discounted tickets now at select Quick Trip, Walgreens, Cub Foods, and Menards locations. Or at RenaissanceFest.com. Huzzah!
So an atheist, a Christian, and a Buddhist walk into a church. There's no punchline. That's just what happens every Sunday at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis. Join us for Sundays Reimagined or live stream at firstunitarian.org. Looking for community without doctrine? Questions without judgment? Think outside the pew. Join us for Sundays Reimagined at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis or live stream at firstunitarian.org.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Hi, this is Laura with Food Freedom Radio, and I invite you to discover 2 local grocery stores with a global fare. Market Fresh, south of Rosedale, carries fresh vegetables, quality meats, seafood, and a wide variety of grocery staples, all in a welcoming store. Shanghai Wholesale Market is in the St. Paul Midway area, and it's a food warehouse open to the public. Shanghai Wholesale carries more than 500 types of noodles. And frankly, it's time for Minnesotans to learn that pasta is a little bit more than spaghetti noodles and tuna casserole. There's sweet potato, bean, rice, fresh, frozen, rye. It's a paradise for those seeking gluten-free pasta. Also, both Market Fresh and Shanghai Wholesale Market seek to buy local, so you can look for local quail eggs, unique cheeses, and Minnesota-made tofu. Open the door to food abundance. Discover Market Fresh, your local Asian food store just south of Rosedale, and Shanghai Wholesale Market, your local international food warehouse north of Menards in the St. Paul Midway area.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. We have families waiting for a car. You know, over 85% of unemployed are successful in finding and keeping a job if they have dependable transportation. A car plus a job equals a life changed. 612-919-5526. We have families waiting for a car. 919-5526 or autotech.org.
It is the Matt McNeil Show. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. So, one final thing. And by the way, thanks very much to Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan for joining us. Once again, PeggyFlanagan.com if you'd like more information about her campaign to win the Democratic or in the state of Minnesota, it's the DFL nomination to be the Senate candidate for Minnesota from the Democratic side. And of course, if you'd like to volunteer or find out more information about her stances, there you go, PeggyFlanagan.com. So I want to take this final segment to put out a little bit of a warning. And obviously, the day I left, we had the insanely tragic news of the shooting of Charlie Kirk. Now, no one deserves to go out like he did. Nope. That is just horrible. And my absolute abhorrent tolerance towards gun violence does not end with a DNR. No one deserves to be assassinated like that, period. It was interesting when I left because when we really didn't know that much about it. And of course, the right wing immediately started screaming about it being it's all lefties, it's leftist terrorists, it's transgender people, it's pro-abortion Antifa members, George Soros, all these things. What we've discovered since then is quite actually the opposite. The shooter was grew up in a far-right Republican family, one of those families where the kids are posing with assault weapons at a young age. I mean, clearly someone raised in what I like to call the warped gun culture. It's somebody who, by the information that's given on out here, clearly seems to have some level of affiliation with one group. Now, I want to point out, when this story broke and an anonymous source told a few news outlets that there was apparently a pro-transgender message on one of the bullets, which ended up being a false report, all the news media ran with the looks like transgender people are involved again. That was one guy's unproven thing, and they all ran with it and said that this was the case, which they've all had to recant. That, okay, no, this doesn't sound like this case. There's a thing called the Groyper movement, and I don't know if you know much about this. Groypers are the extreme far-right fringe of the Republican base. And they used to be nowhere near the Republicans. The Republicans as a party have moved towards them. And these are the people that feel as if, and I'm not joking, Hitler should have won. that, I've heard them making arguments that slavery should be legal again, that sort of thing, that they should be able to have summary executions of people they don't like, that sort of thing. It's really dangerous and disgusting stuff. The Groyper movement has been incubated by two particular individuals, Laura Loomer and Nick Fuentes. That these are the two guys that have pushed this element. And before the shooting of Charlie Kirk, had started to go after Charlie Kirk because they didn't feel as if he was loyal enough to the MAGA movement. There is enough evidence about the shooter. I think as of right now, there's at least 5 things that have been pointed out, whether it's markings or connections, that kind of place this guy in the Groyper movement. If this was a left-leaning organization, every Republican, every news outlet in this country would be running and screaming, oh, clearly this guy was some leftist. But you have this much connecting him to this extremist movement, and there still seems to be this hesitancy to say what it clearly seems to be, that this might have been far-right Republican terrorism against another MAGA Republican. There is right now in this country an effort by MAGA to basically scream at you that the sky is purple. That the sky is purple, and that if you don't think the sky is purple, then you're the bad guy. Now, I've said this about Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk said a lot of horrible things. He said racist things. He said bigoted things. He has tons of records of horrible things that the man has said. Doesn't mean he should have been shot by any means. But this idea that MAGA is pushing, that he clearly was some sort of beloved prophet. No. They're trying to turn him into a saint when he himself, in his own statements, clearly wasn't. They have tried to place this as some sort of leftist assassination. It clearly points to a far-right assassination at this point. It's not confirmed, but there's far more evidence for that than there is for it being some sort of leftist group. And that there is this war against anybody who, and once again, I don't celebrate people's deaths, but if people are out there in any capacity doing this, they're firing people, they're cancel culturing them. This is might be the biggest mind experiment I have ever seen. This attempt by MAGA to basically tell you, no, the sky isn't blue, the sky is purple, and they're seeing how they can do it. And I want to make sure I point out, the national news media is screaming purple right now. They are doing what they can to scream purple. All the Republican politicians are screaming, for the most part, I should say, not all of them, most of them are screaming purple. The truth is that I am not going to reinvent Charlie Kirk as something he clearly wasn't, because they want to canonize him as a saint. He wasn't. He didn't deserve to be shot, but I'm not going to buy your propaganda on this. Chicago, Seattle, talk to you tomorrow. Minneapolis, St. Paul, hour 2 up next.
I'm Rachel Schroman, owner of Schroman Law, and I believe you deserve information. Our firm offers free quarterly estate planning seminars at our office in St. Paul. At these seminars, you can learn the basics of estate planning from an attorney to help you determine which estate planning documents will meet your needs and goals in an efficient and cost-effective manner. You can learn more and register at our website, schromenlaw.com/events. That's SCHROMEN law.com/events.
Hey, Francois, what's with all the wrapping paper?
Salut, Laura, je fais des cadeaux.
You're making gifts. These must be for your clients. And then your favorite macaroons for Nicolette's.
Bien sûr.
Oh, they put your business logo on them? Luxurious.
Oui, et ils expédient partout dans le pays.
They ship anywhere in the U.S. and look how many you bought. You must have lots of clients.
Mais non, ils sont tous pour moi.
Oh, Francois, these are just for you? Well, visit nicoletsmacaroons.com today to create thoughtful gifts for your business, your friends, or yourself.
Come see the Trained Chimp. It's the Matt McNeil Show, 3 to 5 p.m. weekday afternoons, right here on AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul.
AP News, I'm Haya Panjwani. President Donald Trump says the U.S. military again targeted a boat allegedly carrying drugs from Venezuela, killing 3 aboard the vessel. Trump said the strike was carried out today, and it comes after another military strike 2 weeks ago on what the Trump administration said was a drug-carrying speedboat from Venezuela that killed 11. Vice President J.D. Vance filled in as the host of the Charlie Kirk Show today. While hosting, Vance said he craves national unity right now.
Now, I have heard many calls in the last few days for unity and for healing in the wake of Charlie's assassination. You have no idea how desperately I want that, how gratified I was when Democratic friends and even former Senate colleagues reached out to offer their condolences to me. I'm so thankful.
That audio is courtesy of the Charlie Kirk Show. AP Washington correspondent Sagar Meghani reports President Trump is again threatening to take over Washington, D.C.'s police force.
The president's emergency order that federalized police here in the nation's capital expired last week. Days before that, Mayor Muriel Bowser had said the city would stop cooperating with immigration and customs enforcement officials once the order ran out.
Immigration enforcement is not what MPD does.
While the president has touted his order for improving crime,
Washington, D.C. is a totally safe city.
He's warning on social media crime could increase if D.C. stops cooperating on immigration enforcement, and says if that happens, he will call a national emergency and federalize if necessary. Sagar Meghani, Washington.
Fired federal prosecutor Maureen Comey has sued the U.S. government over her abrupt dismissal. She's trying to get her job back, saying the firing came without warning and was unconstitutional. This is AP News.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Oh, could this vintage store be any cuter? Right? And the best part? They accept Discover. Accept Discover? In a little place like this? I don't think so, Jennifer.
Oh, yeah, huh? Discover's accepted where I like to shop. Come on, baby, get with the times.
Right. So we shouldn't get the parachute pants?
These are making a comeback. I think.
Discover is accepted at 99% of places that take credit cards nationwide. Based on the February 2025.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. To avoid gimmicks, and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
The independently owned Next Chapter Booksellers is the perfect destination for your next book. The friendly staff at Next Chapter Booksellers are great at making recommendations no matter your age or taste. Plus, they have frequent events including book readings and meet and greets with authors. And they sell more than just books. They have a wide variety of puzzles and games, too. So stop in and browse the store off Snelling and Grand in St. Paul. More at nextchapterbooksellers.com.
Hi, Penny here from Nightingale in Minneapolis. Exciting news. During the warmer months, we're extending our charm to the patio. Imagine savoring your favorite dishes outside, surrounded by the lively energy of South Minneapolis near 26th and Lindale. And guess what? Nightingale's patio is not just a dining space, it's also dog friendly. Craft cocktails, curated wines, and half price bottles of wine on Mondays are still part of the deal. Open daily 5 p.m. to 1 a.m. with a full menu until midnight. Join us at Nightingale, where good times and great flavors come together.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Today, showers possible with a high of 86, then tonight clear with a low of 69. Maverick's Real Roast Beef serves up the best roast beef sandwiches in town, but don't miss their other great offerings like chicken, fish, Philly steak, and more. Mavericks is located on Lexington Avenue in Roseville, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Check them out at mavericksbeef.com.
Portions of the following program may be pre-recorded.
Hour number 2 of the show here on your Monday. Matt back. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Michael Broadcorp's going to join us. We haven't had him on. We didn't have him on Friday because I wasn't here. Not only did the Vikings look horrific last night, but J.D. McCarthy is now out at least 2 to 4 weeks. Who is Max Bozemer is this Minnesota quarterback kid, right?
Yes, he'll be the third string quarterback, though Carson Wentz, they brought him in for the end of camp. He'll probably be the starter during the time that McCarthy's out.
I got to tell you right now, I've seen Carson Wentz throw a ball. He can at least, there is a statistical reality about players who play a game after a child was born that week, and generally they play atrociously. I'm not saying that's the case. I mean, yesterday there's I put it this way: outside of we have basically zero passing game and zero running game, everything else on that team is working great. So yeah, that's the problem. So we'll talk to Broadcorp about that, but we can turn that frown upside down. How about the Twins host the New York Yankees to begin this week? I've got a 4-pack of tickets for tomorrow night's game. Twins Yankees over at Target Field. 6:40 is first pitch. This is a 4-pack of seats. Ooh, 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Caller number 5. You're going to get yourself a 4-pack of tickets to go see the Twins versus the Yankees. By the way, I got more tickets to give away later on this hour. So good luck. Once again, Twins Yankees tomorrow night. 6:40 first pitch. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Caller number 5 gets himself a 4-pack of tickets. Twins, Yankees. Good luck on that. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205 is the phone number. I want to preface this next story by saying apparently this boy is fine. Apparently this child is fine. I want to preface all that. A 4th grader was brought to the hospital after coming into contact with the stadium light pole at a football game Friday night, according to the East Central Schools located in Pine County. The child was brought to the hospital, is now in good spirits, recovering, district official says. The football game was later canceled at halftime after it was determined that the pole was hot and unsafe. As of Sunday, the area is still cordoned off. The master power is still off, remain off until the issue is addressed. They asked community members to stay out of the area until they can, get that addressed there. But do you remember that scene in Jurassic Park where the kid kind of gets, yeah, I'm going to guess that was kind of one of the things. The safety of our students and staff community is our top priority, said Superintendent Stephanie Youngberg. As part of her written statement, we are working closely with our district contracted licensed electrician to identify and resolve the issue. Yeah, you might want to get on that. That's not the first time, by the way. That is not the first time something like that has happened. That has happened consistently. That is, there has always been these things. I mean, it just happens. It's just a power line gets to be, faulty, and boom, there it is. It ends up causing someone to get electrocuted. In this case, the good news was that the young man is going to be just fine. Good news there. 952-946-6205. I want to give the Racket a little bit of a run for the money. By the way, once again, I want to say, got down to Chicago this weekend. There are 2 great metro areas in the Midwest: Minneapolis, St. Paul, and Chicago. I'm not going to necessarily dog on anyone else, but those two cities, ours here in the Twin Cities and in Chicago, it just is such a different vibe than when I've gone to other metro areas in the upper Midwest. It's different. It's just different. And it doesn't mean that these other areas don't have some good things. I mean, gosh, Milwaukee, when I was drinking, I don't drink anymore, but God, the beer you used to get in Milwaukee was amazing. Just amazing. Like the freshest beer you'll ever find. I mean, Des Moines, Indianapolis. Nah, it's nice. I like the fact that there is this, especially with the train. We didn't take the train down. I drove down, but my in-laws took the train down, and there's just this. I like Chicago and Minneapolis, St. Paul kind of teaming up on things. I do like that a lot. I hope that trend continues, because these are two great cities, and it's a lot of fun to be able to visit these two towns. And so I had a good time out there. I went running this morning. I tell you what, nothing will take time off your 3-mile run faster than deep dish pizza from Chicago. Ugh. Speaking of restaurants, I wanted to give the Racket guys a little bit of a run here, because they actually, I think we have to start calling this out, because there are way too many people in this country that just scream, "I'm a victim," instantly when something happens. And this is actually really starting to hurt us as a society. This, victimization of yourself to make yourself feel better about things, or give yourself a false nuance. I mean, it's the modern day equivalent of wearing a freaking beret or something like that. Look, he's so avant-garde. Oh, look at me. I'm really a victim. I mean, I'm not a big fan of that. I'm not. As a matter of fact, I think the greatest problem facing our society right now is the inability of people to look in the mirror and say, "I screwed up." I think that is the hardest thing for people to do in our modern society. To the Racket we go. Since closing her uptown restaurant, the Kim's, shortly after the staff voted to unionize last year, Minneapolis restaurateur Ann Kim has seemingly done just fine for herself. She introduced a line of frozen pizzas and snacks in collaboration with Target. I've heard those are pretty good, actually, which was covered favorably by outlets like the Star Tribune and Channel 4 and the Twin Cities Business People, and reviewed favorably by Axios, Care 11, and others. None of those outlets made mention of her recent apparent union busting. She also opened a Pizzeria Lola trailer at Indeed Brewing in the Northeast, again covered with excitement by the Star Tribune, Minneapolis St. Paul Magazine, Care 11, others. Again, no one discussed union stuff in their coverage, although Strib did include a link referencing the contentious closures of Kim's. So it might shock you to learn, as we did in a Friday column at the Star Tribune with Laura Yoon, that Amy Kim has been canceled. Yes, you see, after a popular restaurant, Young Joni, closes for good tonight in Northeast, time for us to stop trying to cancel her in an uber liberal town like Minneapolis. Kim's story demonstrates that if you're a business owner who falls on the wrong side of unions, you'll be a target for scorn, Yoon writes, arguing that Kim's gender is to blame, at least in part, for the blowback she has faced. Now, the Racket says, okay, there's a lot to unpack here. Kim is not closing Young Joni because of any public backlash. She's closing Young Joni because she's being sued by her landlord, Lander Group. She apparently owes $143,000 in back rent. That's not a union thing. That's not cancel culture. You're getting sued. That's at least what the Racket is saying. Can't need to be pointed this out, but the concepts of cancellation simply is not real. Louis C.K., Roman Polanski, Chris Brown, Woody Allen, Dave Chappelle, Kanye West, blah, 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 blah. All these people do things, claim they're being canceled, and then still have a tremendous amount of success. So that's just I'm a victim. That's all it is. I'm wearing a beret. That's what it is. You're trying to look more deep and thoughtful and cultured. Yes, some people, I would say it's a minority, frankly, are frustrated with Ann Kim for the way she treated her workers. And guess what? They're entitled to feel that way. In our modern news cycle, I don't think anyone even outside of the people that were directly affected by this, I don't think anyone even remembered that the closing of that one restaurant. I honestly don't. I think you having to bring it up has to remind people of that. Lots of other people still love and patronizes Kim's restaurants that are vocal in that support. Kim is still beloved in the local food community, not just food writers, but chefs, other restaurateurs, and television personalities. She's regularly invited to participate in local events. Our worker-owned news outlet has been vocal about Kim's anti-labor actions, and I still see friends posting film strips with young Joni. I don't give them a hard time about it. You know why? Because she's not canceled. And that food is tasty. They point out the Star Tribune is a union newsroom. So, okay. And then when Kim Bartman is quoted as your character witness, you're in serious trouble. I'll post a link to the story. You can read up more about that. The Racket's de facto food drink editor, M. Castle, know the restaurant business is tough. Really, I do. And I'm sure that Ann Kim will be fine. There's no way few angry people on Blue Sky and Instagram are cutting into her bottom line that much. And when you have the rest of the local food media throwing its weight behind your every new endeavor, which they are, that's the occasional angry social media post. I have strip columnists laughing at length about how you're underserving of scorn if only local unions got the same treatment. So I'll say this. This is okay. I'm sorry that Buddhist philosophy. The way I've understood it. If you start talking, we'll actually understand a lot more about you than about anything else. And the fact that if you're bringing this up, if you're bringing up the closure of the one restaurant because they voted to have a union, that might be, it could be a lot of things. It could be you feeling guilty about it. It could be you being angry about it. It could be a lot of different things, but that's on you. Like I said, I don't think anyone really remembered that story. What was it? Was it, 10, 15 years ago? There's, Jersey Mike's, or not Jersey Mike's, Jimmy John's. Jimmy John's had a few stores which were fighting union guys. And yeah, Jimmy John's is everywhere. So, cancel culture. This is just it's a way for people to try to argue that something that some people may or may not view in a negative light are really wrong. That there is, like I said, I'm wearing a beret. Look, I'm nuanced. That's what it is. You mean screaming you're being canceled, screaming all this stuff. That's the modern day equivalent of a beret. Look at me. I can't not be popular. I've got a beret. It is kind of comical considering how this town falls all over itself to, pander to Ann Kim. Justifiably, she's a phenomenal, her restaurants are great. And once again, she sounds like she's got a lot of things going on right now. And success, you should be proud of your success. But it's really hard for you to scream, I'm being canceled, while at the same time, as I'm being canceled, oh, by the way, I'm going to have a line of frozen pizzas and snacks being distributed by Target Corporation. That's okay. Canceled by being everywhere. Like I said, I almost kind of dream of the day we could go back to just wear the beret, because at least it was easier to identify you. He's like, oh, yeah, he's wearing a beret. All right, fine. Patrick, who won our tickets to go see the New York Yankees and Minnesota Twins at Target Field tomorrow evening.
Congratulations, Barb in Columbia Heights.
Barb, Columbia Heights. Enjoy those. Good news for you. I've got more tickets to give away later on this show. So listen for your chance to win another 4-pack of tickets to Twins Yankees tomorrow night. 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Let's take a break. Come on back. It is the Matt McNeil Show here on your Monday.
Step into a world where magic and merriment come alive. Discover fantastical creatures. Behold thrilling joust.
Memory care community in the Twin Cities, located in Bloomington, and we have a new location in Medina. But what makes Wellshire so different is the people that we have working for us. Our team has been together for the past 25 years providing this type of care. We employ some of the most amazing nurses and LPNs that are in the building 24 hours a day. We also have an activity team that is over 40 people. And our scheduling begins at 9 o'clock in the morning for activities, and it goes to 7, 8 o'clock at night. And that's 7 days a week. You won't find that. That is why many of the families that come to Wellshire are actually coming from another memory care facility. Not all memory care is created equally. And that's why I encourage you, if you've had issues and problems at other places, come see what makes us so special. Please visit thewellshiremn.com and book a tour.
Hey, it's Patrick for Zero Res. It's the start of our favorite season in Minnesota, football season. With all the hype and action this season brings, we know things can get loud and messy quick. Before you invite your friends and family over to watch the big game, you better call my cleaning heroes at Zero Res to clean up all of those fumble moments in your home. And as always, you can score a guaranteed touchdown with great savings from Zero Res this month. Carpet, tile, rugs, upholstery, every surface in your home can be Zero Resified. And this month you can get 3 rooms of carpet clean starting at just $129, plus $75 off an air duct cleaning. And don't forget about your dryer vent, too. Having Zero Res over will be a big victory for your home. You'll always come away a winner, even if the guys in the purple or the maroon don't. Call 952-ZERO-RES or go to ZeroResMinnesota.com and ask for the AM 950 special. Backward or forward spells the same. Zero Res.
Greg Bakken here. I've told you about the out-of-the-world roast beef sandwiches at Maverick's Real Roast Beef, but I haven't told you about their Philly steak sandwiches, turkey bacon avocado sandwich, BLT, crispy chicken, fish sandwiches, brisket, or pulled pork. Okay, you get the idea. They make a lot of delicious food to the same standard as their famous roast beef sandwiches, and now I'm starving. I'm going to go to Maverick's Real Roast Beef off Lexington and Roseville, and you need to go too. Check out their menu at mavericksbeef.com.
It is the Matt McNeil Show, 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. Michael Broadcorp joining us. We'll talk Vikings. And once again, in case you did not hear, J.J. McCarthy, I think it's 2 to 4 weeks now, isn't it? Is that they're saying he's out 2 to 4 weeks with an ankle injury? Yeah. Maybe we give Bozemer a chance. You know, you ever play sandlot football? You got some of the better wide receivers out here. Just chuck it around, see what happens. Yeah, I mean, that's how they found Favre. You forget that's exactly how they found Favre. 952-946-6205. Speaking of Wisconsin, the Wisconsin Democratic Party has put out a statement noting that Representative Derek Van Orden. Now, I generally don't talk too much about Wisconsin, but I'm going to obviously, having just driven down to Chicago, once again, there is a large portion of Wisconsin in the metro area. And we actually do have a lot of listeners in Wisconsin, too, which is kind of interesting. Patty does a lot of stuff down in the Madison area. Patty Vasquez, who, of course, you can hear her show on tonight at 9 o'clock, and then Greg Bakken on at 10 o'clock tonight. Make sure you're sticking around for that. But Patty, she does, she was telling me that, they go into Madison, and they have tons of people that listen to AM 950 down there and know my show, the Gailey Show, Robert Pilot Show, of course, Bakken Show. So, we've got a lot of listeners down there. And, of course, one of the scourges on our society is a guy named Derek Van Orden, the Republican representative down in the southwestern part of the state of Wisconsin. He posted on Twitter more than 550 times in the past 5 days since far-right firebrand Charlie Kirk was shot and killed in Utah. Yeah. And you know where this is going. In the immediate aftermath, Van Orden followed other lawmakers in calling to end for political violence. In the Monday statement shared by the Huffington Post reporter Jennifer Bendery, he noted the prompt change. In the time since, Van Orden has continuously called Democrats domestic terrorists, claimed Democrats tried to kill Trump, demanded an investigation into George Soros for the murder of Kirk, called it a second civil war, called for a second civil war. And once again, and by the way, the anti-Semitic George Soros, that's, he's going with the anti-Semitic vibe. He's told his followers that they should enact violence against Democrats and the media everywhere, Bendery has stated. Now, first of all, let's talk about this. First of all, the guy that shot at Trump at the Pennsylvania rally was a right-wing kid. And by the way, the second this shooting happened, I asked the question, is this another one of these shooters who seems to have gone down this dark web internet hole into these websites which romanticize assassinations and mass shootings? Because this is something that's starting to become more common, is the connection that all these shooters have, having spent some time down in these websites which romanticize this type of atrocious behavior. And so there have been multiple people that have. It does sound like the shooter in the Charlie Kirk case, indeed as well, might have visited some of those sites. I'm not saying that's the case. I mean, he definitely seems to be a groyper. He is definitely it definitely seems to be coming from the right side of the political aisle. So this is all just, remember I was telling you about the beret? Well, this is the biggest freaking beret Van Orden can find. Once again, we're victims, even though the evidence points to, once again, the shooter at the Trump rally was a right-wing kid. The guy that pointed a gun between the bushes at his golf course, which is what they consider the second assassination attempt, which, I'm not saying it's not dangerous, but it doesn't sound like it got anywhere even close to being a real threat. That individual voted Republican one election and Democrat in another election. So that's kind of hard to gauge what their political point of view was. This shooter was a lifelong Republican. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to go with Grandma. There's no one in this family that's a Democrat. They're all Republicans. And once again, and I brought this up at the end of last hour, there's at least 5 or 6 information points which seem to indicate this shooter was part of the Groyper movement, that extreme far right group, which had their Laura Loomer and the Nick Fuentes. Is that the guy I'm thinking about? Yeah. Basically, those two guys had put out that Charlie Kirk was a traitor in the days before this. There definitely seems to be something there, but yeah. Why let facts get in the way, right? Beret wearing Van Orden. He demanded an investigation of George Soros and the murder of Kirk, once again going down the anti-Semitic route, because they know there's a lot of Nazis and anti-Jewish people within the Republican Party, so that's always going to be gravy for them when they want to drum up victim. Called for a second civil war. I can tell you this about Van Orden. As a veteran myself, if that dude ever got into a combat situation, that's the dude that would wet himself instantaneously. He'd be cowering. Yeah, it's really entertaining for me to watch some guy call for a major conflict to be fought, who you clearly would. You guys go do it. I'm going to go back here and hide. That's Van Orden. And then he's told his followers they should enact violence against Democrats and media everywhere. Of course, if someone does and says, well, Van Orden told me to do it, of course, that's the point. He goes, wait a second. Just because I told them they should start shooting people, why do you think I was telling people to start shooting people? No, I didn't say he said start shooting people, but I'm just saying I'm using that as an example. These guys always try to wiggle out of their clear agenda when some crazed person starts doing that. I'm not saying that he said go shoot people, but he definitely called for violence against the Democrats and the media. America's most dedicated keyboard warrior, Derek Von Orden, will not stop encouraging violence against Democrats and reporters. When is someone going to party going to tell him to stop? Said party spokesperson Philip Schulman over the Wisconsin Democrats. Bendery also pointed out on Twitter, in which Van Orden's comments said on September 11th, 2001 was the reason he went to war for over 20 years. Yesterday, he was citing the Kirk shooting as the reason I'll be at war for the next 20. I will not allow these leftist scumbags to take my country. As the grandmother of Kirk's alleged shooter said to the press, her family members are all dedicated Republicans. My son, his dad, is a Republican for Trump. Debbie Robinson told the Daily Mail, most of my family members are Republican. I don't know a single one who's a Democrat. Van Orden's violent rhetoric also earned condemnation from the home state newspaper, the Wisconsin Examiner. The editor-in-chief penned a column alleging that Van Orden isn't even originally in his attacks, noting he's merely taking the Trump talking points and running with them. Of course, it is Trump who has a long history of inviting political violence against Democrats and members of the press. Van Orden is copying him by escalating the rhetoric in Wisconsin, the editorial said. The Wisconsin Democratic Party stated he's going to completely unchecked by his own party. The reason why, let's make sure we also do understand exactly why this is coming and where this is coming from. This is coming from one very specific reason. They know that they have screwed over the farmers. They know that rural economies are basically shaking, that inflation is out of control. And as Peggy Flanagan joined us last hour and talked about the other implications of their big, beautiful bill, namely the shutting down of hospitals, shutting down of nursing, of senior centers, the astronomical price of groceries. This is killing rural America. So now this is why guys like him are screaming, because he's got to try to get your attention away from the fact that the Republican Party has destroyed rural America. And so he grabbed his beret. Nine 946-6205. 952-946-6205. Shall we give away another pair of tickets? Or not pair, 4-pack. I got another 4-pack of tickets. Twins, Yankees, tomorrow night, Target Field. 6:40 is the start time of that game. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. Count them. 4 tickets for tomorrow's game. Twins, Yankees. Caller number 5, 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. Caller number 5, you get yourself to go see the Twins and Yankees tomorrow night at Target Field. Good luck. Let's take a break. Come on back to the Matt McNeil Show on your Monday.
Greg Bakken here. Like you, I love good, fresh, delicious food. So I want to tell you about this treasure in Roseville called Maverick's Real Roast Beef. Maverick's has the best roast beef sandwiches I've ever had. Made fresh every order. Add fries or onion rings dropped in the fryer when ordered, and you have a winning combination. Maverick's Real Roast Beef has a lot more than roast beef, so check out their website, mavericksbeef.com, or check out their restaurant on Lexington in Roseville.
End-of-life decisions are not easy to make. Hi, I'm Mary T. of Mary T. Hospice Care. It's important to make sure that this difficult time is meaningful and comforting to you and your loved ones. Our hospice team provides an individualized program of physical, emotional, spiritual, and practical care so your loved one is comfortable and not in pain. At Mary T. Hospice, we understand that choosing the right hospice care provider can be overwhelming, but we're here to assist you. Learn more today at marytinc.com.
Get ready for the music event of the season. Powderhorn Porch Fest returns Saturday, September 20th, 4 to 10 p.m. for another legendary evening of 13 epic performances across 3 uniquely Powderhorn Porch stages featuring genres from hip-hop, R&B, surf punk, Latin folk, and more. Powderhorn Porch Fest spans 2 blocks on 17th Avenue South between 32nd and 34th Street. KRSM will be spinning beats with the diverse sounds of the South Side all night long. Treat yourself to Minneapolis' favorite food trucks, then grab a refreshing cold drink at the Beer Garden. The festival's family-friendly by day with activities for kids and an unforgettable celebration for adults after dark. Best of all, Powderhorn Porch Fest is free to attend with proceeds supporting the community programs of the Powderhorn Park Neighborhood Association. Don't miss out on this one-of-a-kind music and community celebration. Powderhorn Porch Fest, September 20th, 4 to 10 p.m. Details at ppna.org/porchfest.
With your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Tonight, clear with a low of 69, then Tuesday, sunshine with a high of 89. Maverick's Real Roast Beef serves up the best roast beef sandwiches in town, but don't miss their other great offerings like chicken, fish, Philly steak, and more. Mavericks is located on Lexington Avenue in Roseville, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Check them out at mavericksbeef.com.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota.
It is the Matt McNeil Show coming up here on Native Roots Radio right after I am done here. Wendy and Robert Pilot are going to be joined by Bob Blake, a regular over there, and then Sean Sherman, of course, the sous chef. There you go. Have I mentioned I like food? I love it. Wow. That's a nice get. Well done. Native Roots Radio coming up after my show here. A quick little side note. We still actually have the tickets here. We'll just do the next caller. Apparently, these tickets are going to be delivered digitally. So if you don't have the ability to get this, okay. If you obviously, these are going to be digitally delivered tickets. So 952-946-6205, 952-946-6205. The next caller will get those 4-pack of tickets to go see the Twins, Yankees tomorrow night, Target Field, 640. Good luck. Enjoy those tickets. All right. Michael Broadcorp joining us here in just a little bit to talk the Vikings season so far. Hundreds gathered at Lake Harriet Bandshell in Minneapolis on Sunday to celebrate the life of 10-year-old Harper Moisky, one of the 2 young students killed last month in the mass shooting at Annunciation Catholic Church. Harper Moisky and fellow Annunciation Catholic Church student 8-year-old Fletcher Merkel both died in the attack on August 27th, which also injured 21 others, mostly children, in attendance of a mass marking the start of the new school year. Parents Mike Moisky and Jackie Flavin opened up about the difficulty of their loss, which no parent should ever have to endure. These past few weeks have felt like being dropped at the bottom of the ocean, where it is pitch dark and the pressure is crushing and no human really meant to survive it, Flavin said. They went on to say that navigating the darkness by remembering 3 lessons Harper taught them. 1, be your own kind of light. Harper was an original person through and through, Flavin said. Confident, kind of completely on her own kind of light. And she really taught us how to show up exactly as you are. Lesson 2, let your light be big. Harper didn't do anything halfways. She was extra at the very best way. Flavin said she just packed so much joy and imagination into her short 10 years. And thank God she made it all count. And lesson 3, light grows when we share it. Couldn't agree more. She taught us something profound, that light doesn't always mean being strong on your own. Sometimes it really means being soft enough to let love in. They asked attendees to put lessons, the 3, into immediate practice, encouraging people to introduce themselves to 3 strangers, give them a hug, and share their light. You lifted us up during the hardest days of our life, and we're so grateful, said Mike Moisky. There is just so much love and support lighting our path that we haven't felt lost, Flavin said. After the program, people lingered at the bandshell, enjoyed free food trucks and chalk drawings, 2 things Harper Moisky loved. Also on Sunday, Annunciation Catholic Church leaders announced students will be returning to school this week with a modified schedule. Tuesday will be the first day back since the tragedy. As we continue to lift up Harper and Fletcher and pay for Sophia and all of our injured community members in their recovery, we recognize the natural interest in the timetable of the reopening of the school. School leaders wrote, we recognize that while we walk our path together, some members of our community walk in different paces and with different steps. Now, I want to just make a plea, a beg, if I can, for the media, the news media out there, and basically just people who might want to go watch. Sure, some people will want to talk about it, and that's fine. But try to, if a person doesn't want the camera or a microphone jammed in their face, don't jam a camera and a microphone into their face. I don't think everything needs to be an instantaneous soundbite. And I know people that are dealing with the consequences and the aftershocks of this in that school. And it's been very hard for a lot of people. And I want you to just keep that in mind, that that your quest for that 10-second soundbite, once again, there are going to be some people who are more than willing to talk about this, and God bless them. They're sharing their light, which is great. Try to find those people. Don't feel as if you have to try to create a moment. I can't even comprehend. I'm going to give the church and the school a lot of credit here, because I can't even comprehend in this time frame, this window, being able to try to get back open again tomorrow after such a tragedy and such a horrible thing happened. I can't even comprehend that. But I will say that they're going to do this. Bless them. God bless them. I'm glad they're doing it. Just make sure, let's show the respect that we need to show here. Absolutely. 952-946-6205. We did give away those. Who is our winner? Who is the lucky person going to go catch Yankees Twins tomorrow night at Target Field?
Congratulations, Virginia.
Congratulations, Virginia. Yes, it's true, Virginia. There are Twins tickets for you. A 4-pack of tickets to go out and there enjoy. Thank you very much for the people calling on in. We will delve into the world of football in the NFL with, I'm sure, not a very happy Michael Broadcorp, our Vikings correspondent, joining us to talk about the aftermath of an absolutely abysmal showing by the Vikings last night and the breaking news today about McCarthy. 952-946-6205. 952-946-6205. It is the Matt McNeil Show right here on your Monday.
Toffee sip like coffee, wake up, change your mind and drop me love to hate me crazy.
Attention event planners and festival organizers. This is Frank Brown from Minuteman Press Uptown, your union print shop partner for your next event. We're here to check items off your list and make your event the talk of the town. From stunning banners and eye-catching signage to programs, tickets, and name badges, we print everything. Get promotional products at prices that let you load up on merch and fill those swag bags. Make your event unforgettable with Minuteman Uptown. Visit us at mpuptown.com.
Cafe Latte offers made-from-scratch soups, salads, sandwiches, and mouth-watering desserts.
So come check out their pizza and wine bar, or get a treat from the bakery made fresh daily. Plus, you can still do online ordering and takeout, along with gift cards. Just go to CafeLatte.com and choose from their ever-changing selection of award-winning salads, sandwiches, and soups. Cafe Latte is located off Victoria and Grand and online at CafeLatte.com.
Would you let animals pick your insurance? Do you really need to experience mayhem to get the best rates? Or how about a celebrity quarterback or fake university saving you money? There's a lot of marketing stunts when it comes to insurance, but what you really need is someone looking out for you. Call Array Insurance, and they will work hard to find you the best insurance coverage and rates. So avoid gimmicks and call Cheryl at Array, 763-504-3067, or arrayinsurance.com. Array Insurance, working hard for you.
When was the last time you had your roof inspected for extreme weather and hail damage? This is Chad, owner of AM 950, to talk about the exterior construction company I trust, Snap Construction. If you've noticed new roofing projects in your neighborhood, your home was likely hit by hail last summer and experienced damage. Snap Construction is helping homeowners like you, and they're the roofing specialists I trust. They are the most well-reviewed contractor in the Twin Cities and have a ton of positive customer reviews from homeowners just like you. Even better, Snap Construction's installations are backed by a lifetime warranty, so you know you're dealing with a qualified roofing expert. You want to work with a company that will be here for a long time after the work is done. Snap Construction has handled thousands of claims and will help you through the process. Do yourself a favor and get a free roofing inspection so you have the facts and peace of mind you deserve. Call Snap Construction today at 612-333-SNAP. That's 612-333-SNAP. Or visit snapconstruction.com.
Turn to Auto Technical with your vehicle donation. Even though Auto Technical is a small nonprofit, we have helped more families with transportation than any organization in Minnesota. Since '94, we have reconditioned donated vehicles so they have a higher tax benefit. Call Richard at 612-919-5526. 612-919-5526. Or autotech.org.
AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. We did not have Michael Broadcorp on last week because we were, of course, on vacation, which, in hindsight, okay. It's all right. Michael Broadcorp, not only is he, of course, one of our political pundits, bringing us politics from the right side of the aisle, but, of course, he is our Minnesota Vikings correspondent. Last night, the Vikings stunk up the joint and stuck up the joint indeed as they got trounced by the Atlanta Falcons 22-6 at home in a game which was just begging us the entire time to take that over and just run the Falcons out of town. You were at the game last night. I mean, really, I just kept waiting for, okay, when are the Vikings going to turn this on? This is not a good team. We should be running them out of the stadium.
I kept waiting for the game to start last night, and it just never started. It just never took off, and I was waiting for it, and I was with my family, and I'm like, any chance, and it just wouldn't. It just never happened. If there was an absolute failure to launch last night.
So, all right, I'll give you the one kind of bright spot. I'll say it like this. In the history of NFL players having a kid during the week, it's like 80% of them play horrible that week. It is really I saw someone put that stat out. It doesn't surprise me as a person who's had 3 kids. It kind of takes your mind off of things, that's for sure. But the when you look at what happened yesterday, JJ McCarthy he looked completely and totally lost in that game.
Absolutely. I really struggled. I was with my family, and I was just looking for that opportunity for some excitement, some enthusiasm, a spark of anything in that game. And he just seemed distracted. He seemed off. There was an intensity from the onset that there was a concern. That crowd was fired up last night. I mean, Adam Thielen coming back, Matt. That pregame atmosphere at US Bank, I think the Vikings do it. I think they do it the best in the NFL. And when Adam Thielen came back, that place erupted like I've never heard it before. And JJ McCarthy came in to just a roaring crowd. But once the game started, there was just a failure to launch. It was like they were asleep, and there was just no spark of energy.
Well, and it was there were a lot of mistakes. And I mean, you just can't be beaten like this. I mean, the Falcons are not a good team. This is not this is not the second coming of Detroit from last year, where you had to kind of pick your poison in regards to what they were going to do. This is not a great team, and yet it just ill-advised passes, missed opportunities, and I guess I won't just put this on JJ. Our running game, okay, Aaron Jones Sr. does not look good. And running backs are one of those interesting positions that when you get to a certain point, you just start falling off the edge kind of quickly as far as your ability goes. He is 30 years old right now. That's kind of the timeline. He looks like he's lost a step, and there was always an Atlanta defender ready to tackle him no matter what he tried to do.
Absolutely. Last night, I think every component of the Vikings failed. We only had 78 yards rushing last night. JJ McCarthy, I think, was sacked 6 times.
Yeah.
A number of interceptions, offensive line, defensive line, running back. Every aspect of the game was not played well last night by the Vikings. And it's one of the worst. And I've, been going to, my family's had season tickets since 61. I've seen a lot of bad, but this is probably one of the worst games I've seen under the KOC, Kevin O'Connell era. Certainly at home. That I've ever witnessed, and the crowd felt it too.
We have to put this in. We got 2 games under the belt, and once again, I'm going to get the people looking. It's like, guys, it's 2 games into the season. You don't get there. But of those 2 games, basically there was 1.5 quarters where JJ looked really good.
Correct.
The rest of this, the entire first, 2.5 quarters of the game against the Bears. Once again, not a good team. Look at what happened yesterday. And by the way, it's funny. I was down in Chicago. Before that game, they'd pretty much given up hope on the Bears being anything this year. I can't imagine what it's like for Bears fans down in Chicago now. But you have he just doesn't. He looks like a rookie. He looks like a guy there, but he also looks lost. at times. Like, what am I supposed to do here? I mean, it was interesting. I listened to KOC talk about they had practiced a specific play all week long. This is going to be our play. This is going to be our how it goes. And we practiced it over and over again. And then the second he puts it into the game, JJ bobbles the ball and he doesn't, and all of a sudden the play is not working as designed, and it ends up being a mess. He looks like he's lost and out of his league.
Absolutely. And I've never played the game of football, but I've watched a lot of football. And from my vantage point, I think describing him last night as lost is the perfect adjective. It's the perfect way to describe the play. I think that there was just something, there was an era of frustration. The stadium was hot. It was, but there was a lot of enthusiasm. And the crowd last night, I think, was very restless. And the people that I was talking to, family and others around, the team just seemed lost. They seemed rudderless last night. And that's something, as Vikings fans, we're prone to seeing, but not under KOC. And something was really off with that team last night. And I hope they're able to correct it, because there wasn't just one problem. There were a number of fundamental errors last night, and where that team needs improvement.
Well, and the defense played pretty well. I mean, I don't care. Even the bad NFL teams, if you give them enough chances, they're going to get the ball into the end zone. That's the level of play you're at. But they shut them down over and over again. They got down to the red zone. Defense clamped down. Basically, they're getting field goals. That well into the second half, this game was still winnable for us. So the defense, I mean, I'm not really as concerned about that.
That's fair.
Talk about the offensive line. What happened there from your viewpoint on the ground? Why all of a sudden was it Olay and they were able to get back there?
I don't understand. I mean, from the vantage point that I saw from my seats and sitting with my family, I mean, there were the ability to see the plays develop and see McCarthy just get sacked repeatedly. And again, it also plays into some of the nervousness that we've discussed, Matt, is that I'm concerned about his stability and his strength as a player coming off, his injury last season. So every time you would think that line would be, it's always important to protect the quarterback and make sure he has as much mobility as he can in the pocket to make the decisions across the field. But last night, it just seemed that when JJ was sacked, they were really hard sacks. And they were getting to him very, very quickly.
And it didn't seem, I mean, they did blitz him. They did send an extra guy every once in a while, which there's a part of me with the coaching staff. Okay, guys, then send your tight end out, have Hawkinson just basically run 3 steps out, turn around and just dump the ball to him. That's what the tight end is for, is to basically get those ugly yards. But if you get 4 yards every time that way, you're moving the ball down the field. And there just didn't seem to be the adjustments needed to be made as that was going on. I mean, and like I said, that was another part which was concerning, is the coaching. This is not the greatest coach team. The Falcons are not a great coach team. I would put KOC as being able to out-coach them any day of the week, and yet it just never materialized some sort of winning strategy where they could use something on the field to get at least some yardage.
I was blown away. I don't think there's ever been a game that I've attended in recent memory where I left literally just dumbstruck. I mean, I just left. I couldn't believe it. Like, driving home and being like, that was 22-6. We lost the Atlanta Falcons. There was not a touchdown thrown by the Vikings the entire game. And just the play that went on, it was just a very frustrating game to be a Vikings fan. Very frustrating to leave. As I noted on social media, the best part about last night's game was the walking tacos.
Well, you bring that up. One thing I want to bring up is that team, the Vikings, they are built. You talk about the environment of US Bank Stadium. That is a money-making venture. This is part of their charisma, their psyche. This is what they want to put out there as far as this team is, this major metro team. This is not some middle of the road team. This is not the Carolina Panthers. This is not the Chicago Bears. This is one of the big boys and the juggernauts. What this team is not ready for is a situation where, like with that year when we lost the Achilles, the foot, the guy down in Atlanta now that we traded to Atlanta. I've lost my mind. The QB that was
Cousins.
Yeah, Cousins. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Cousins. When the year after we lost Cousins, we were lost. that team, the Vikings team, and that whole machine is not designed to have a full season of rudderless football like this. And I don't know, as you said, the beginning of that game was everyone was going crazy and the stands were pretty much freaking empty by the end of that game. And that takes something. That has to be a really bad product on the field to get people to storm out of a stadium like that.
And that's one of the things that I want to just mention for a second is that atmosphere at US Bank. I think that the pregame event and the pregame, and I mean just minutes before the game starts, the pregame production, how the Vikings organization and that stadium gets people amped up for the game is, I think, second to none in the league. The problem is when the crowd gets that amped up and then they have that type of play, it was just the intensity of the crowd and the production value that the Vikings put into the front end of the game versus what happened during the game. There needs to be a course correction of it because there was just a lack of energy, focus, and sharpness and enthusiasm on the field that just never played out.
Yeah, just think about it. If they try to do that with like the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's like nobody in the stadium would, okay, yeah, fine. Nice job. All right. Just try not to get blown out again. I mean, that's not what this team is about. This team is about selling a contender year after year after year. And right now, especially with the news that you brought up to me, it sounds like JJ McCarthy is looking to be out 2 to 4 weeks now with an ankle injury, which means the Carson Wentz era begins here in Minnesota. Now, frankly, I got to tell you the truth. I'm not too bothered by this because the guy can throw a ball and he's got wide receivers he can play with. I mean, Addison's out one more week and then he's back. It's this, if all of a sudden it's if Carson Wentz isn't there, all of a sudden we're looking at the Max Bozemer era. And I just don't think that kid's going to make that step up. I mean, I don't want another season of, what was that 3-0 victory over Vegas, and dear Lord, was that a nightmare. I just don't want that again. And I just don't know how bad is the injury on JJ? Do we know yet?
We don't know much. It was sent to me I got it from somebody sent it to me and I looked into a bit. It appears to be some form of ankle strain or injury. You know what? My first reaction was to be pretty angry, but in consultation with my therapist and with other people in the last, hour in prep for this show, I think it might be a good thing. I mean, one of the things that I would say is, again, I've never worn the uniform of an NFL team. I've never been a quarterback aside from all-time quarterback in the street outside my house. But the point is that I think JJ needs some time. And we might go through this time of Carson Wentz being out there. And I think he needs some time to develop. And I go back to a point that we've discussed extensively, Matt, which is the preseason. I think that what I saw last night was a quarterback who is not ready yet for prime time.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in any disparaging way, but what I do know is that if I have a quarterback of talent, I'm so happy that he's going to be coached by KOC, and it might take some time for JJ to blossom and develop. And I'd rather have that as a problem than to be out there always searching for something. And I just think we need to give McCarthy some time.
I think that the one of the things that I think is important is you bring up, JJ, and we're at the end of this, but you bring up that point. I would have liked to have seen him play at least one full game, 4 full quarters in the preseason. I think he played one quarter.
Yep.
He wasn't ready, and he's just not. I don't know. Carson Wentz was available for a reason, and that's the thing we have to kind of keep in guide. But I mean, you've got a Bengals team coming on in here. We'll save that for Friday. We will touch base on Friday here, but you got a wounded Bengals team. We'll have to see, but. I just don't think our defense is going to be, clearly it's not going to be enough, even with a bad team like Atlanta, to hold us into these games without some production from the offense.
We need to score points.
Absolutely. Michael, sorry it wasn't more happy. Hopefully we'll have better news next Sunday. Michael Broadcorp, our Vikings correspondent, once again, we'll have him on to talk politics here before too much longer. Thank you very much, Michael. I appreciate the time today.
Thank you, my friend.
Take care. Native Roots Radio, I Am Awake. That comes up next. We are back tomorrow. Till then, see ya.
This is Alex Noel.